down. The tourney time has begun for the Lady Catamounts, just 3 games away. And tonight, a tough matchup against the 16-9 Samford Bulldogs. Ryan Keys here for TV62's coverage of Catamounts women's basketball. Alongside me, Kyle Rush. And Kyle, a crucial game to try to keep the Catamounts on track today. Their defense has been staggering good the last 6 games, and yet they're 4-2 in the last 6. What do you see as some of the keys here tonight?
Well, the last 6 games, you're right. The defense has been well, which is relayed to 4 of 6 wins in those 6 games. Now, the Catamounts in those last 6 games have allowed less than 60 points a contest. Against this Samford team, it was a close, people forget how close it was down in Alabama, 64-61 in overtime. So another game where Samford was under 60 in regulation. Look for the Catamount defense to lead to the success tonight.
It's a very good point, Kyle. Looking at Samford's history against the Catamounts, 7-2. This is the 10th meeting between the two teams. 3-0 in Cullowhee. So the Catamounts looking for their first win here on home court against the Bulldogs. What do you think they have to do to get that win?
Well, I think for the Catamounts, it's really simple. We saw it Saturday as well. Your offense revolves around Kayla Shea Menendez. She is a playmaker. She scored. She has over 1,000 points in her career, but she's also a leader. She's a facilitator, and she makes the people she plays around better. Carol, also another player. She can light it up from downtown, Ryan.
Now, for Kayla Shea Menendez, the last game against Chattanooga was kind of a tough one, to be quite honest. Kayla's a player that likes to drive the lane, and Chattanooga took that away for much of the game. What kind of adjustments do the Catamounts need to make to open up these driving lanes and get some easy hoops?
Well, I think ultimately you got to set screens for you. You got to make your playmakers have the ability to make plays, and that's what she does in space. She makes plays for you, and whether it's setting screens when she's off the ball, setting screens on the ball when she has the ball, somehow they got to get her able to drive that lane, whether it's setting screens, working the ball around, however they decide to do it, and Coach Karen Middleton knows just about as well as anybody.
Now, another thing to look at is the Catamounts were able to get to the free throw line after the first couple of minutes of the game on Chattanooga, but they kind of struggled from the free throw line, and it may have cost them a little bit. They lost that game by 14. Chattanooga, a very good team, but tonight, if you make it to the line, you got to convert.
Absolutely, and that's something that Karen Middleton and Larry Hunter, both men's and women's coaches, and coaches all over the place will talk to you about. It's great that you're aggressive in getting to the free throw line, but can you take advantage once you get there? And going 0 for 2 at the free throw line is like a turnover. Quick note, Kayla Shea Menendez, last time these two teams played, had 17 points at Samford earlier this year.
Menendez certainly a player to look out for. We will send it down to the PA announcer for the rosters and the national anthem.
Now let's meet the starting lineups for tonight's game. First for the visiting Bulldogs, starting at one guard, a 5'4" senior from Decatur, Alabama, number 11, Jasmine Powers. Another guard, a 5'7" senior from Spring Garden, Alabama, number 21, Paige Anderson. And a third guard, a 5'8" senior from Birmingham, Alabama, number 24, Ruth Ketchup. At one court, a 6'3" freshman from Hendersonville, Tennessee, number 10, Taylor Reese. At the other court, a 5'11" junior from Shelbyville, Tennessee, number 33, Anna Dawson. The Bulldogs head coach is Mike Morris, assisted by Andrea Ward, Catherine Katz, and Michael Scruggs. Okay, fans, on your feet. It's time to welcome the starting lineup for your Western Carolina University Catamounts. Starting at a guard, a 5'8" senior from Raleigh, North Carolina, number 22, Kayla Shea Menendez. Another guard, a 5'8" freshman from Charlotte, North Carolina, number 20, Allie Lane. And a forward, a 5'10" junior from Jonesboro, Georgia, number 11, Diamond Honeycutt. At another court, a 6-foot sophomore from Stone Mountain, Georgia, number 21, Alex Abraham. And a third court, a 5'10" junior from Columbus, Georgia, number 5, Janae McKinney. The Catamounts head coaches Karen Middleton, assisted by Trega McMillan, Janelle Street, and Hillary Beck. Ladies and gentlemen, this time we ask that you please rise as we honor America and those who help protect it with the playing of our national anthem performed tonight by the WCU Cat House Band.
The Cat House Band there with a perfect rendition of the national anthem. And Kyle, we talked in pregame about Kayla Shea Menendez, the Catamount star, but Samford's got a little star of their own.
They do. Senior Paige Anderson. She's only 5'7", but she's a senior guard, averaging 13.2 points a game. Catamounts have to keep tabs on her. She can do it all. She can drive, but if you lay off on her and play her for the drive, she can hit the jump shot over top of a zone as well.
Definitely someone to look out for, but for Paige Anderson, one of the toughest defenses in the SoCon. They rank second in scoring defense with 56.6 points against per game. They also are second in rebounding defense at 36.5 per game. We got the tip-off right here. Won by Samford. And Jasmine Powers will take it down the court for him. Powers looks for Reese. Trying to set up Paige Anderson early there, and she's going to draw a foul.
And already, Ryan, we're seeing Paige Anderson in her aggressive play as far as being a scorer. Already, one possession, Samford gets her involved. I think you've got to see the Catamounts do a lot of the same thing with Kayla Shea tonight.
Now, Kyle, you mentioned that she's a girl that can do it all, and that's got to be tough to cover because right there we see her drive the lane, but I imagine she's got a decent three-point shot as well.
She does. She's done well with that all year long. She's shooting 45.9 from the floor, 41.9% from downtown. She can really light it up, and the Catamounts have to keep tabs on her early and often in this one.
Certainly, with that being said, though, Kayla Shea, much a similar style, loves the drive to the hoop and get to the free throw line.
Kayla Shea, also a 42.5% shooter from the floor. Not as good from long range, but she does a lot of the little things for this team. She plays defense, and she leads not only with her play, but vocally as well.
Abraham doing what she does best. The energy player got an offensive board there. Menendez shoots from downtown. Couldn't quite get that one to fall early.
Well, another player for this Catamount team, not in the starting lineup, Shauna Terry. How about this? 8th in the Catamounts history in block shots. So look for her interior defense, and maybe not now because she's not in the game, but it can alter a driver like Paige Anderson's inside game.
A great setup there by Reese to Ruth Ketchum, and the Samford takes an early 4-0 lead.
Well, if you're Samford, this is exactly the start you want. You want to come out aggressive, establish your team's confidence and record right out of the bat. Abraham with an answer.
Abraham with a beauty of a shot right there. Not someone you're going to see taking the outside shots very often. She likes to set up her teammates, likes to do the little things like rebounding, but right there, very nice shot.
And that zone pressure you saw by the Catamounts, Ryan, they've been doing it a lot lately, and it's created turnovers, which has created shots and fast break points the other way. It'll be interesting to see how Samford uses that. They didn't see a whole lot of that down in Alabama earlier this year.
Reese trying to work the post game there, could not get that shot the fall, and McKinney comes up with the rebound. Menendez pulls up, shot, but the ref's going to call it off there. Got an offensive foul on Janae McKinney, and it'll be Samford ball. And Kyle, that's an issue we've seen with the men's team a lot, is not necessarily offensive fouls, but just fouls in general really costing them. How do you stay disciplined and avoid those kind of calls?
Well, I mean, you got to be smart with where you are on the floor. I mean, there is such a thing as a smart foul. We saw it in the first possession of this ball game with Anderson driving a lane. But the fouls that drive coaches crazy are when big men get fouls 30 feet from the basket. Those are the ones that'll drive you nuts.
Reese tried to work the post game again there and hit the side of the backboard. Samford might look to a different person offensively. Ellie Lane trying to set up Menendez. And Menendez puts it home for the Catamounts.
And Ryan, that's what she does. She beats you off the dribble. As you see, an elusive, quick first step. And Samford, you're right, they do have to look somewhere else offensively. How about Paige Anderson? She has 1 touch and 2 points. Samford has to get her involved.
Well, maybe not Paige Anderson. Hannah Dawson, the junior out of Shelbyville, Tennessee, nails the three-pointer. And Samford pulls out to a 7-4 lead.
One of the many girls in Hannah Dawson that can shoot for the Samford team. Over 36% on the year from beyond the arc. Samford, that's what they do well. They'll beat you from the outside.
Allie Lane takes advantage of Menendez's screen and nails the open two-pointer.
That's what we're talking about. Menendez is not just a scorer. She can set up her teammates, as you see there. And Shauna Terry, who we mentioned at the scores table, set to check in.
And Kyle, we talked about it in pregame. Against Chattanooga, Catamounts had a lot of trouble finding open looks. You mentioned the screen game right there. Menendez set it up. Allie Lane nailed the shot.
And even in that game against Chattanooga, Ryan, they had some good looks. Sometimes the shots just don't fall. And those, you're going to have games like that. It's how you can respond from them. That's what makes a good team great.
Lane wide open there from 3 range. Didn't quite have the power behind it, but the ball goes off of a Samford player. We're going to have our first media timeout here. We'll be back. Score is 9-6 here on TV 62's coverage of Catamounts basketball.
Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Also, Catamount women's basketball will be back in action for their final home game of the season.
We are back here at the Ramsey Center, and there's a look at pause, and you know, it might have to do with having a former mascot at the table, but it didn't even take him 5 minutes to find us, Kyle.
Hey, but that's just what they do, though. They're sneaky and elusive, a lot like this Catamount offense has been off those screens offensively early on.
Well, at least he wasn't giving you bunny ears this time, Kyle. We'll take it. Diamond Honeycutt misses a shot right there. Samford looking to extend their 3-point lead. It is Ketchum with the ball. She sent it over to Reese. Couldn't hit the shot, a fight for the ball, and the Catamounts will come away with it. It's Rika Wakama.
And as you say, Ryan, it's Miss Hustle getting the rebound. Alex Abraham, a stellar box out to come up with that defensive board. Rena Wakama, another player that can kill you off the first step for the Catamounts.
Wakama certainly an athletic player who loves the drive. Kayla Shea deciding to step up with the shot right there. Couldn't quite get it to fall, but not an awful look. And there's Paige Anderson with the ball. She's going to send it over to Reese. Back to Anderson. She's looking for a drive. And we have got an offensive foul. Looked like we had a moving screen there on Reese.
Exactly, Ryan. But if you're Samford, every starter has scored except Powers. But you got to get Paige Anderson more involved. The first time she had the ball, she drove to the basket and earned a trip to the free throw line, burying both shots. Since then, she has not touched the ball on the offensive end. And if you're Samford, you got to think it's one of the things that they talked about in that last timeout. When your leading scorer doesn't touch the ball on the offensive floor, you're missing chances to make plays. As we've seen the Catamounts, Menendez has had her hands, as she does here, on a lot of plays.
Well, they've been trying to set up Reese early. Reese is going to take a seat now, but perhaps they were trying to take advantage of a smaller lineup for the Catamounts. Now they have Campbell and Terry out there. Terry certainly adds some size, and Campbell doing what she does best beyond the arc. Kisses that one off the glass and in.
She can light it up from out there, Ryan, and it's something she's done all year. She's really extended the Catamount offense with that perimeter game. Maybe not the nylon, but she had the bank that time with a little kiss.
And I know an NBA player, Tim Duncan, will tell you that, you know, any way you can make them go in, it works. Man that's made a living off of using the glass.
It's a lost art, really. You asked John Wooden back in his coaching days, if a player didn't use the backboard on a shot and missed, they were coming out of the ball game. He said his philosophy was they draw a square on a piece of glass behind you that you can aim at. He said, why not use it? I don't know that that one was intentional from Campbell, but on the interior play, you really think that it's surprising that more people don't use it, like you mentioned that Tim Duncan does. There's a reason he's called Mr. Fundamental.
Wakama tried to force a drive inside, was double teamed. It ends up getting called for the travel. Abraham's going to come out for a breather. Janae McKinney comes in, but good quality minutes for Abraham here early.
Very much so, and that's what she's done, especially the second half of the season. Caitlin Hollyfield having issues with tendonitis all year long. She's really helped step up in that role, and Caitlin Hollyfield's actually been working with her in practices, and she's really come in her own this year, really starting to realize the potential that she can bring to this Catamount team.
Coach is on the bench, called for a walk on Dawson, got it, and it'll be Catamounts basketball. Allie Lane coming in for Kayla Shea Menendez, and you mentioned Caitlin Hollyfield, a senior leader, and even through this injury, I mean, it's a shame that she hasn't been able to play, but still on the bench, very vocal, still providing great leadership for this team.
Very much so, and that's what leaders do. They don't just make themselves better, they make their team better. And while she is not able to play, she's been able to lead this team. And really, I think you got to give credit to the development of Terry, along with Terry and Abraham have both benefited from Hollyfield. We saw Hollyfield in pregame warmups actually. She's talking to McKinney, saying, hey, this is what this defense likes to do on the interior. That's the kind of leadership you look for out of your seniors.
Allie Lane in that last play, very well covered by Shelby Campbell, and the Catamounts weren't able to put any points on the board. Samford looking to break the tie. It's Campbell, and she nails it from downtown.
Well, just another one of the shooters on the Samford team, a 36% shooter from beyond the arc. And that's what this Samford does. They set ball screens, and they get open looks, and they hit a lot of them from long range.
It's like they have a bunch of Keaton Coles on the team. Campbell with the ball. Sends it to McKinney. Over the lane, and right now the Catamounts working on the outside, but they're going to send it inside to Terry.
That's her sweet spot, Ryan. Right there on the low ball. Let her hit the little jump hook.
And a perfectly placed ball right there. It's harder to control it with one hand than it looks, but right there, right off that little square that you mentioned earlier, and right into the bucket. Anderson sent it outside, and an air ball thrown up.
And I think that's an error on Anderson. She had the drive, a great backdoor cut, a good pass. She passed up a mid-range to short jump shot, or maybe even a layup to kick it out for that open three-point shooter. That's the type of team Samford is. They attack you from the outside. They use inside to work the outside game, and it cost them that time.
We've got another media timeout here. Samford up by 1, 12-11. We'll have more coverage for you here at TV 62 when we come back. Yeah, it's down by 1, and Kyle, maybe a bigger issue for Samford is the offensive production from Paige Anderson right now. The flow just doesn't seem to be there.
It is, but that last possession, they got her back involved in an off-ball screen to get her that backdoor cut, and it left a wide-open shooter And with a Samford team, when you leave wide open shooters, you give up a lot of points. And that's something that Western Carolina, though, defensively, they're focusing on her. They're bringing multiple people to guard her, and they're making it hard for her to get to the ball.
Kayla Shea Menendez looking for space. Aaron passed to Terry. And a very smart play by Terry, manages to knock it off of Kendall Schwantz's leg, and it'll be Catamounts basketball.
That's another thing strong interior players do, or strong players anywhere. They make the most out of a bad situation. Nothing she could do with it without forcing a turnover. Bangs it off the Samford player, retains possession.
8 seconds left on the shot clock. Catamounts have to be quick, and Terry can't handle that pass from Menendez.
A good look, though. Again, Menendez setting up an offensive opportunity. Terry will make that play more times than not.
Schwantz gets it over to Ketchum. Looking inside, and they're going to force a jump ball, which is going to be Catamounts ball as the possession arrow favors them.
And again, Ryan, that's what impresses me most about this Catamount defense. They don't just guard their player well, they swarm to the basketball. And that's what makes the defense great. We see Syracuse do it on the men's side. The UConn women's team, great defense. They swarm to the basketball, and I can't stress enough how important that is, because you get plays like that on the defensive end.
And it seems like an attitude that this team, regardless of what the score is, every possession is going to play you hard, and you got to think that that comes from coaching and trickles down from there.
It does. Karen Middleton, a player back in her day, in her own right, and she is a fiery competitor, Ryan. She hates losing. Last year, she felt like she let this team down, and it showed. This year, they came out with a vengeance and having a pretty successful season and making a run late toward tournament time.
Reese back into the game, saw the ball, and saw a double dribble right there, and it's going to be Catamounts basketball yet again.
Well, Reese has got to settle down. Obviously not the start she's looking for, but she averages 9 points a game, and she's a solid player. Only a freshman, but you have to be patient, and I think that's the biggest learning curve that a player coming in from high school to college learns. 1 of 4 from the floor, 2 turnovers for her early on. She's just got to be patient. The game will come.
Lane turns it over to Powers, and Samford has been attacking Lane. I mean, they are all over her defensively.
Well, and they have to be, because Lane is a player who's come in that's run that off one guard position. She runs it with Kayla Shea, and sometimes when she's playing, she's also run it. But when they're both in together, especially with Rena Wakama, it adds a lot of speed, and she finds the basketball. She doesn't wait for it to find her. She goes and makes plays, and I think that's a good move on Samford. You got to play her tight defensively.
Campbell with the 3. It bounces off the rim and out. Pretty good look for Samford right there, but they can't get it to fall, and the Catamounts are going to try to take advantage. Menendez driving to the net and cannot make the layup.
You know, it's impressive about Allie Lane, too. She's just a freshman. This is a player with a lot of upside, and we've seen it this year, a lot of physical talent. And I think playing with Kayla Shea this year has done nothing but help her.
Abraham challenging the shooter there. Reese, who was not able to make the shot there, and Menendez just pushed it right up the floor. Wakama now looking for space, takes a shot. Can't get it to fall. That'll be rebounded by Jasmine Powers, and she's going to slow things down a little bit.
But that's a perfect example of what Rena Wakama is all about. They had to take away the drive, and she just had a nice little step-back jumper. She can get that just about any time she wants in a man-to-man defense.
And we see that with Menendez a lot, too. They want to drive to the hoop, but if it's not there, they have no problem with pulling up. Rebound took a weird bounce there. Menendez had to force it off of Anderson. That's the second time that we've seen the Catamounts manage to do that successfully.
And that's a senior making a play, Ryan. She knows how important each possession in a basketball game is. Even though it's a one-point game with 8.5 minutes still in the first half, every possession matters, and seniors understand that.
And we have not had points since the media timeout. Quite a few minutes gone by with nothing but solid defense.
Last bucket came up at 11:52. That was when the Catamounts cut it to 1 right after the Samford bucket.
Alex Abraham can't even hit rim on that one, but Campbell will force a jump ball. Ball will go to Samford, but the possession arrow now in the favor of the Cats.
Number 34, Shauna Terry, returning for the Catamount.
And this is a little bit of what we expected, Ryan. Hot shooting from the Samford team early, but the Catamount defense has got their feel for the game, and it's pressure, forcing turnovers and making tough looks. And when you have a swarming defense like the Catamounts are, as we see there, sometimes you have more space than you actually think you do.
Simon Honeycutt almost stole away the pass. Hannah Dawson could not hit the layup. We've got another media timeout here. Catamounts still down by 1, same score, 12-11. We'll have more coverage of Lady Catamounts basketball here on TV 62 when we come back. Cheerleaders and dancers putting on a show here in the Ramsey Center as we are back, and Kyle got a pretty decent-sized lineup out here for the Catamounts right now. Shauna Terry, Kristen Lyon, and Mackenzie Campbell, along with Diamond Honeycutt and Allie Lane.
But there's plenty of speed, too. Honeycutt and Lane will give you that speed at the guard position. But you're right, a big lineup, and on a team that likes to shoot the ball, length alters shooters a lot, and I think that's a lot of Karen Middleton's strategy here.
Hannah Dawson gets around Diamond Honeycutt again, and this time she's able to make the layup.
Well, that's good execution out of the timeout by Samford. I think it's a message in the timeout where, hey, you have more time than you think you do sometimes. You just got to be patient and capitalize when you get a good look.
Allie Lane sent it to Honeycutt, and she kind of had to laugh that one off because she definitely was not ready for it.
Oh, Ryan, it's just a miscommunication issue. Terry's out there setting a screen. Honeycutt went for the backside cut on the baseline, and you know, it's a simple communication issue where Lane thinks she's going to pop out to try to shoot the jump shot. Just a communication issue. They'll get that cleared up.
And you mentioned Lane is a freshman. I mean, these kind of things are going to happen. They happen to the seniors as well. I mean, you know, everybody has these kind of issues every now and then. It's part of a team sport, but the Catamounts definitely need to find a scoring touch, as it's been quite a while since they put points on the board. Anderson looks for three, can't get it. And that ball is going to be called out of bounds on Shauna Terry, it looks like, so will still be Samford ball.
But Ryan, this is where a big defense helps you, and where a strong defense helps you, that the Catamounts have, is they create a turnover. When you're struggling offensively, you need a defense that you can rely on to help you stay in the ball game. Catamounts have done that so far tonight.
Ketchum lost her footing there. Wakama was right there to pick up the ball. Now she's looking for some space, hits it out to Campbell, who almost lost it herself. Maintains it, gets it out to Lyon. Terry working the post game. And that ball is forced out by Dawson. 7 seconds left on the shot clock.
Well, that's a good double by Samford. Terry is very, very difficult to guard man-to-man on the low block. Good double by Samford, getting hand on that pass, because once she gets it in the low block, that's when she's at her best.
Welcome out to Campbell, wide open for three, and she hits it.
And that is when she's at her best. Great play drawn up by the Catamounts. They were focused on Terry on the low block. Campbell came around the screen and buried the long-range jump shot with a little nylon.
Nothing but mesh for Mackenzie Campbell, and we have gotten used to seeing that, but then Paige Anderson responds with a three of her own.
That's what scorers do. Scorers answer scores with scores of their own. Campbell comes down here, sharpshooter, buries a shot. Anderson got a look, said, hey, I can do that too from long range. And that's too much space if you're the Catamount defense. This Samford team shoots the ball too well to let them shoot out there with that much space.
Now we've got a 30-second timeout right here as this game has shifted from defense, defense, defense to a bit of a shootout.
It has, and it started out that way a little bit too, and I think it's a scenario of teams, both offenses, being more patient, working the ball around. We saw well-executed inbounds play on this side, and on the other end, it's off a screen, and Anderson's a good enough shooter that from that far out, she's just as deadly as she is with a 15-footer.
And I think the patience is a great point, Kyle. Both teams have come out more focused offensively out of that last media timeout. Neither team has really let off the gas defensively. It's just better execution offensively.
It's more efficient, more ball movement. As we see there, Honeycutt, a good look. but it's more efficient, more movement, more people getting involved, which makes it tougher to guard.
The iron unkind there for Honeycutt. Pass down low to Reese. She's going to try to go up with it. Terry denies that, and it's Catamount's ball again. Wakama looking to push the court. Picked up well by Powers. She'll send it out to Honeycutt. Down low to Terry. Trying to control it. Can't quite do it, and it's picked up by Samford. Powers down the court, trying to drive, sends up a circus shot, and she hits it.
Well, it's a good job. Actually, she goes in there trying to draw some contact, use the contact to regain her balance, great body control, and in order to pull off a play like that, you have to have it. You got to square your shoulders when your feet aren't on the ground. You got to square your shoulders to the basket. She did there.
Kayla Shea was on the bike. Now she's ready to return to the game during the next substitution. Honeycutt looking to drive, finds space, hits the layup.
And that's what the Catamounts need more of, especially when Kayla Shea is out. Wakama and Honeycutt have to step up with dribble penetration. That's how you can get into the teeth of this Samford defense.
And you saw the inside-outside game, and then right back to inside with the drive. Opened up a little lane for Honeycutt, and she took full advantage. Wakama with a shot, and she'll draw a foul from the outside.
Well, when you have a driver like Wakama, we talked about it earlier, she can set up for that jump shot just about any time she wants to. She does. Samford tries to overcompensate. Powers runs into her, creates a foul on a jump shooter. Wakama to the line for 2.
And for Wakama, a player that can be kind of streaky with her shooting. So in some cases, you think you might want to give her the pull-up instead of giving her the drive.
Well, yeah, but an interesting stat. She's 34.1% from the floor on the year, 34.2 from long range. So she has range. She's not just a driver. She has proven that she can pull up and hit a jump shot as well. And as she matures with the system, only a sophomore, as she matures, her game will mature as well, and that game will become more consistent, especially as a jump shooter.
And she did have some big shots against Chattanooga right there at the line, 1 for 2. Brings the Catamounts back to within 2. Paige Anderson sends the ball over to Powers. Powers looking to drive now, and the layup will go home for her.
And that's what Samford wants. They're using dribble penetration off the drive. McKinney couldn't get down to help because a good screen by the big player downside. And when you have a screen on the interior like that and you have plays that you can make with body control, it's a good recipe for a solid offense.
Jasmine Powers with another layup and one, and she's sending a message right now that, hey, Paige Anderson isn't the only one on this team that can score.
Well, Powers averaging 7.4 a game, but she's a little bit like Rena Wakama. She can be very streaky and very efficient when she needs to be, and she's a great driver of the basketball, as we see there.
We've got the last media timeout of the first half. We will be back. Score 23-17 here. Catamounts down on TV 62's coverage of women's basketball. Welcome back to TV 62's coverage of women's basketball. Jasmine Powers of Samford at the line for 1 after making that layup, and right now she's sending a message on both sides of the court.
She is. She came back, made the defensive stop, then demanded for the basketball. She's really feeling it. She's into the game right now, and she's totally in control. Nothing's rushed. Nothing is forced. Everything's just flowing for her right now.
And we mentioned how aggressively they have been defending Allie Lane, who's back into the game, but right there, that was on Wakama and just as aggressive.
And that's what good defenses do. They have to be aggressive, but they have to be smart aggressive. And we've seen that from Samford thus far.
Anderson thought about taking the pull-up, decided not to, sends it over to Campbell. Powers now looking for the pull-up, and it won't fall for him. Menendez with the rebound.
Catamounts got away with one there. They left a good shooter, and who is coming into her own, feeling the basketball game. They gave her too much space. Powers unable to hit. Not a peripheral jump shooter, but when a player is feeling the game, you throw the stats out the window.
Certainly, Kyle. We've got Campbell now. She's one that can feel it. Takes a shot. Can't get it. Gets her own
Beautiful
rebound
basketball.
almost.
No contact. She wasn't able to finish down low, but that's beautiful basketball, Ryan. And I think it's an underestimated aspect of the game. Follow your own shot. And we see it there, and that time it falls right in her lap. Wasn't able to corral it, but if she was, it was a layup on the other end, and you still get your bucket.
And that's not always something you see from a good shooter either, Kyle, because they expect their shots to go in. Right there, Campbell, one of the best outside shooters on the team, and setting a great example by following her own shot. That time shoots from 3, can't quite get that one to go home, but pretty close.
But if you're Western Carolina, that's a shot you live with. That's her in her comfort zone with a spot-up 3. It's just like Keaton Cole on the men's side. When he has a spot-up jumper and he takes it, even though he misses it, not too many people are going to complain about it. Catamounts have to do a better job on the glass. 13 rebounds so far, but Samford, since that last media timeout, has gotten 2 offensive boards.
Make that 3 as Powers comes up with another one, and Karen Middleton does not look very happy right now. Powers looking to drive. Sends it over to Babineau, who takes a 3-pointer and hits it.
And a good timeout. This is a team, Babineau, actually, that's her first 3-pointer this year. She has yet to make one, but that just shows you what the Samford team's all about. Very unselfish basketball, and when you're unselfish against a good defense, you're able to spread the floor, and, well, who knows? Everybody finds an egg every now and then.
Well, Kyle, when you're 16-9 and 11-5 in the SoCon, you get a certain amount of confidence, and even these players that don't normally shoot from the outside, if they're wide open like Babineau was on that play, even though she's a forward, willing to take that shot and see if it will go in or not.
Well, and as a senior, too, you know she'll remember that one. On the road here against the Catamounts. In this last minute 30 is crucial in this game. Catamounts need to get some momentum to take into the locker room. They've fallen down by 9. Who's going to step up and answer the run for the Catamounts as Menendez goes over the back?
Alex Abraham tried to make a play there, but like you said, Menendez over the back. Alex Abraham, a good energy player for this team. Looking to try to make something happen. Here late, down by 9 in the first half.
Well, Ryan, this is a perfect example. Your defense has to get a stop here to set up offense on the other end. A nice hustle play there. It's a hustle play. Now let's see if the Catamounts can take advantage in the offensive front court.
Offense has gone dry a bit for the Catamounts. They started off pretty sharply offensively. But as of the last 5 or so minutes, there's been problems. And now we've got a foul on Alex Abraham. It looks like another offensive foul on the Catamounts.
Catamounts don't have a basket from the field since the 4:46 mark here in the half. And, yeah, shooting's gone cold. But at the same time, you got to be patient with your offense. Even though you've gone over 4 minutes without a bucket, you're still within single digits. Your defense has to step up big and get another stop here before halftime.
Dawson sends it to Babineau. Back down low to Babineau. She tries to bank one off the glass, but it won't go for her. Campbell with the rebound, and she gets it the lane.
And that's an out-of-control shot by Babineau. Her feet aren't set. She rushed it, and it was a poor shot because of it.
Lane trying to milk some clock here. Gets it to Alex Abraham. Could have set up Menendez, set up Lane instead, and she's going to travel. And with 9 seconds left, that's another turnover for the Catamounts, and you got to start getting some shots here instead of just giving the ball right back.
It's the 11th Catamount turnover here in the first half. And you're right, she could have set up Menendez. And although the Catamounts with 9.3 probably won't get another offensive possession this half, they got to keep Kayla Shea Menendez involved in the offense because she is a playmaker and she makes her teammates around her playmakers as well.
Well, it becomes a problem, Kyle, because not only are you not scoring when you're turning the ball over, as Shauna Terry makes a statement right there.
Well, and that's the type of player she is. She's a shot blocker. she's just a sophomore, Ryan, but she already has 64 blocks in her career as a sophomore, and she basically takes points off the board right there for the Samford Bulldogs.
And a very good play by Shauna Terry, which will keep this game at 9, but we look at the offensive issues right now. There were some good plays offensively by the Catamounts and some pretty good looks, but the turnovers, not only are you not getting shots, but you're wearing down your defense.
It is, and the rebound margin does the same thing. You got to earn extra possessions, and Karen Middleton talks about it all the time. You got to grit and you got to grind. We'll talk with her coming out of the break. Purple Thunder, though, they have work to do before we talk to her later in the halftime show.
And Purple Thunder, always a worthy halftime performance. We will be sending it to them here in a few minutes. Till then, we'll take a quick break here on TV 62's coverage of Catamounts basketball.
It's time for this evening's halftime contest. Today we have two contestants, Krabby and Isabel. February 23rd, and help keep the Thunder rolling. We're also pleased to announce that Purple Thunder will hit the road with the Catamount basketball teams and looks forward to entertaining thousands of the 2012 Southern Conference Basketball Championships on March 2nd through the 5th in Asheville. Let's hear it one more time for the one, the only Purple Thunder.
Purple Thunder, the fantastic halftime show here at Western Carolina. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, Kyle Rush will be with head coach Karen Middleton of the Catamounts here on TV 62's.
Fans here on the
Rush here very soon with
Coach Hunter of the men's team, rather than Coach Mary Wilson, unfortunately. Coach Middleton a little busy coaching the game, but Coach Hunter in the stands, starting players, ready to go, ready to play for us.
So we will have Coach Hunter welcome back to the Ramsey Center, and we've got Coach Hunter here with Kyle Rush here very soon. Change of plans. We'll not get an interview from Karen Middleton. She's busy, but we have got Coach Hunter. Kyle, take it away.
Thanks a lot, Ryan. I'm here with Coach Hunter, and Coach Hunter, first of all, congratulations on 2 straight. What's the key going into Samford and Appalachian State Saturday? Keep that going.
Well, we've got some good positive energy going, and you know, our guys are feeling better about themselves because we've gotten some wins. Confidence is up a little bit. But probably most importantly, we've played with a lot more energy, toughness. Our execution's finally starting to get better, and, you know, we're just becoming a better team. So, you know, Samford presents some problems because they play the Princeton offense, so you got to really have good discipline defensively, and then Appy State's very athletic. So 2 different type of ball games.
And against that Appalachian State team here a year ago, it was a thriller in the Ramsey Center, one of the games most memorable to date, and it was a tough game there. What do you think the key, especially inside Appalachian State, seemed to have a lot of success?
Well, we need to score consistently and play with the lead if we can, but those games usually go down to the wire. So, you know, at some point you just got to get some key stops, make some key plays offensively, hit some baskets, and make plays at the end of the game.
Well, Coach Hunter, thanks again for joining us, and enjoy the rest of the ball game.
My pleasure. Thanks.
Thank you for that interview, Kyle and Coach Hunter. Really a class act all around, and it's been a great year for him. Not only did he get win number 600 of his career, but also his 100th win with the Catamounts, and yet such a humble guy despite all the success that he's had. Has been a great influence on this men's team. But back to the women's side of things, the Catamounts start off with a quick 2 points, immediately responded by Paige Anderson with a 3-pointer. Allie Lane now with the ball. Sends it to Alex Abraham, who gets it to Menendez. Menendez sends it outside the Honeycutt, open 3-pointer, and she nails it. Open shot and a swish rather, for Diamond Honeycutt. The Catamounts pull within 7.
And offensively, Ryan, it's the start they needed. They needed to get their momentum back, especially offensively. They've come out of the gate on fire here in the second half.
And they're looking to keep that fire going as Allie Lane sends it over the Honeycutt. Works it to Menendez, gets a screen. Menendez driving, puts it up, can't get it to roll. And that's going to be Samford ball. And Menendez looking for contact there down low, but not enough to draw the foul. Samford ball now, Powers. Sends it back. Actually, it gets picked off, and here comes Allie Lane.
And when the Catamounts have efficient offensive possessions, they can set up that pressure and that zone pressure that creates a lot of turnovers. They do it again here. Can they take advantage on the offensive end?
McKinney to Lane, fake shot. Now she's going to move with it. Sends it to Honeycutt. Looking to drive, sets up McKinney, who will also look to drive. Gets it to Abraham. Layup, and it's in, and that brings the Catamount bench to their feet.
It's a little scoop-de-doo with the right hand, Ryan. A strong take, good, unselfish basketball, and a little kiss off the window.
The ball movement right there is what really stands out to me, Kyle. Just pass after pass, and eventually the middle right in the paint opens up for him.
And when you keep a defense moving and they constantly have to guard a pass and a drive, you get that kind of a result. Catamounts a chance to cut into the lead even more with a good, solid possession right here.
Allie Lane looking for more space. Already off to a hot start to this second half. Gets it to Menendez. Menendez finds space, puts up a shot, tries to get her own rebound, can't quite do it. It's taken away by Alex Abraham.
It's Abraham. It's a hustle play. Menendez almost jarred the ball loose. Abraham comes to the backside and takes advantage. And now Allie Lane is earning a trip to the free throw line. The swagger and the aggression, it seems like this team is just playing a lot more aggressive and a lot more together. They're getting the little things here early in the second half, and it's big.
Karen Middleton certainly said something right at halftime, because this team is fired up, and Ketchum didn't even see Alex Abraham coming when she knocked that ball away.
What a nice pass. It's Menendez again setting up a play. They win to help on a Menendez potential drive, and her ability to do that sets up Terry a nice roll off a screen, off-ball screen right to the basket. Easy lay-in, and the Catamounts are within 3.
Maybe the easiest that Shani Terry has had all year, because Menendez set that one up perfectly. Reese looking to stop the bleeding for Samford, puts up a shot and it's in.
You can't fault the defense there. Menendez does a good job keeping her ground. Just a very solid shot from Menendez. I would have, with the size advantage, I thought she would have tried to drop step. She went the tough route, but she got it to go. A big basket for Samford.
Certainly, they had to find a way to stop the bleeding. They managed to. Up by 5 points right now, but still, the Catamounts with a lot of the momentum and not a bad defensive possession at all, as Menendez was all over Reese on that play.
And I think one of the emphasis for Karen Middleton at halftime was energy. The Catamounts may have gotten a little lackadaisical with their energy, but boy, have they picked it up here in the first 3:50 of this half. They are out hustling the Samford Bulldogs right now. They keep that up. That 5-point lead for Samford will dwindle in a hurry. They are out hustling, outperforming, and being more aggressive to the basketball than the Samford Bulldogs.
Samford trying to remain undefeated here in the Ramsey Center. They've gone 3-0 in these teams' 3 meetings here. Looking to make it 4-0, but at this rate, the Catamounts keep on doing what they're doing. That perfect record is in jeopardy.
It is, and the Catamounts have been playing a lot better basketball as of late. You mentioned 4-2 in the last 6, and against some really quality teams. People forget Chattanooga is a pretty darn good basketball team, and the Catamounts played them pretty tough here. The Samford team also pretty good, a 15-9 record. Catamounts looking to give them loss number 10 on the year, and they got to keep this hustle and energy level up. And that'll also keep the scoring up as well for the Catamounts.
Wakama in for the Catamounts. Bit of a speedy lineup out there right now with Menendez and Honeycutt also on the floor. Honeycutt down low, set up again by Menendez, and Menendez, not a driver anymore, a passer, and doing a great job of it.
And Honeycutt sets it up perfectly. She uses her body, gains position, and then Honeycutt just took her to the rack for the deuce.
Pause likes it. We got Reese on the outside now for Samford. Sends it to Powers, over to Anderson. Reese down low, and that one looked like it was going to go in and just flopped right back out.
Well, for the road teams, we call that the Ramsey roll, as that one popped right back out. But now can the Catamounts keep the efficiency up? McKinney, what a drive.
McKinney with a big play right there, but speaking about the Ramsey roll, Kyle, I'm still a bit of a rookie around here. Almost to sophomore slump status, but still learning some of the terminology around here.
Well, you know, I come up with different stuff every now and again, too. Catamounts, more importantly, a big possession, cut it to 1. And how about Terry? Another block. And, Ryan, I can't emphasize this enough. We're not even done with Shauna Terry's second year. She has 65 blocks in her career, which is 8 all-time in Western Carolina history.
A powerful player out of Henderson, North Carolina. Karen Middleton actually giving her a little talk right now, but that block, literally, she basically just told Reese, take a seat.
Yeah.
Not on the bench, right on the middle of the hardwood. And I don't think Reese is going to take too kindly to that.
And what Reese has got to learn, she's just a freshman, a more experienced player. She's got to be strong with the basketball. in the interior in college, women's or men's, if you're not strong with the basketball, it's going to get swatted out of the grill all night long. And use of the head fake is so vital. You got to catch the defender off guard. If you're predictable, that's what's going to happen.
Certainly, Kyle, but I mean, even if you get the ball swatted, you don't expect to be swatted yourself. I mean, she wasn't on her feet after that play.
Well, it goes to the energy that we're talking about. Terry showed more energy. She was a little late on the roll. That might be what Coach Karen Middleton, but she made up for it. Wasn't able to get the rebound, but at the same time, it's energy, it's hustle, and when you run into a strong Shauna Terry, it can create a lot of problems for you offensively.
This game could certainly get testy. Catamounts down by 1, 14:51 left here in the Ramsey Center. And Kyle, we've seen a good game from the first half, and it has continued here as the Catamounts have come out with a ton of aggression here in the second half.
Energy, energy, energy. I can't stress it enough. It has benefited the Catamounts and almost forces a 5-second call. Samford's got to find a way to match the Catamounts' energy.
Samford has the ball right now, sends it to Hannah Dawson. Gets it to Reese. Back to Dawson, she's looking to drive, sends it to Reese, wide open three, and that one won't fall.
And that's Samford, though. They like the inside-out game, and this is a team that shoots the ball well enough to hit most of those. When they don't, that's the question for them going down the road, not only in this game, but even as we enter tournament time. When they're not shooting the ball well, can they still find a way to win? They did at Furman in a 42-40 win their last time out.
Well, it is an effective game, but you don't necessarily want your forwards out there shooting long distance. Martin defends Menendez very well down low.
Defense.
Menendez returns the favor, breaking up that pass to Reese. Could not be handled on the loose ball, though, and it will still be Samford's ball with 12 seconds left on the shot clock.
And it's beautiful because Menendez was down there in the post playing post defense. She and Terry had a defensive switch on a screen. And when you're smaller in size, you got to front the low post, deny the pass. She did it beautifully there, and it didn't let Samford get set on the low block.
We talked about Kayla Shea in pregame as Martin gets called for a travel there, but we talked about her in pregame, and we see her as a scorer because that's what she's been her entire career. But today, the scoring hasn't necessarily come because she's been well defended. She's been a great player assisting-wise and defensively unbelievable.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is a consistent player. 4 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. She's not only setting up opportunities for herself, but for her teammates. And when a good player makes 4 other players great, it becomes really tough to defend, and it becomes a real problem defensively for anybody. And defensively rather, it's all about the hustle. She does it so well. She has a couple steals to her credit, but more importantly, it's her presence around the floor, swarming to the basketball.
Campbell going to come in for a honeycut, looking to light it up from three-point range again. Wakema had a nice head fake, but couldn't quite get it to the net. Probably would argue that it was a pass to McKinney. Either way, it's Samford's ball. Reese sends it over to Ketchum. Looks to drive inside, and she's going to draw contact from Campbell.
And really the best sign of aggression we've seen from Samford, making the initiative to get to the paint area and drawing the contact. But you talk about a balanced Catamount offense and how Menendez is setting up her teammates. Only one player that has entered the game for the Catamounts has not scored. That's Lyon. Every other player for the Catamounts that has entered has put up points on the board in one way or another.
And Lyon typically a defensive player. But right there with Ketchum, the words deceptive speed are a little overused, but that's basically what it is. Doesn't look like he'd be the quickest player on the team, but a lot of quickness, a lot of deceptiveness there from Ketchum. Helps her get to the line and put up 2 big points for Samford.
And when they need them. And more importantly, she's showing aggression. 71% free throw shooter, does her job, earning her trip to the line, drawing the contact on the drive.
On a side note, first free throws of the second half for Samford, and that means the hot dog has come out in the Cat House bands. And like clockwork, Wakama puts up the 2 and 1 with the possibility to tie this game up for the Catamounts.
She uses her speed so well. Body control, flash to the lane, use that pivot foot. You gotta be careful not to walk. She does it, and then finishes it off with a nice kiss off the glass after drawing the contact. Now can she get 3 the old-fashioned way?
Not the prettiest way to do it, as it racked off the rim a couple times, but it will go in. And at this point, you tie the ball game, you don't care how it's done.
That's exactly right, Ryan. A big, big momentum swing. Now Samford has to respond to the Catamount run early in this half, because now, for all intents and purposes, we're at 0-0 again, and the Catamounts have momentum.
Nice shot there by Babineau for 2, but you bring up a good point. Catamounts were down by 9 points at halftime. All of a sudden, it's a 2-point game, and they have just been chipping away at this lead.
They're taking it one possession at a time. They're using energy and defense to set up offense. They're being efficient in the offensive end, and it's worked for them so far. Let's see if Wakama can go to work here.
Wakama the drive, drew contact, no call, but we're going to have a jump ball, and that is Samford ball, it looks like. But just to put it in context, Kyle, Catamounts had 17 points in the first half. They have 16 already here in the second half, and we're only less than 8 minutes into the half.
They're being much more efficient. They're moving the ball around, and shots are starting to fall for this team. In the first half, Western Carolina shot 33% from the floor. This half, we're shooting 66.7% from the floor. Not a big part of it, but their Catamounts are getting the hustle plays, too. On those misses, the Catamounts have also gotten a couple of extra chances via the offensive board.
And the passing, the ball handling, it's been better, which leads to less turnovers. And if you turn over the ball less, more possessions, more chances to make shots. And right there on the other end, we see Ketchum not handle the ball very well, get a walk. But we've got a media timeout here. Catamounts down by 2. And we will have another Catamounts possession as TV 62 will come back from break here on women's basketball. Different here in the second half for the Catamounts.
It's energy and hustle and efficiency. They're not turning the ball over. They're not giving up a lot of offensive rebounds, and using that energy for aggression and easy buckets. It's not just they're getting more shots because they're not turning the ball over. They're getting high percentage shots, and high percentage shots, creating turnovers of their own. It's just a more efficient flow of basketball right now for the Catamounts.
Catamounts not able to score there on that last possession. Samford sets up Dawson inside, but she was not able to make an easy layup. And the Catamounts have a chance here in transition to tie up the game. Terry going down low. And she's going to draw the foul on Jaquita Babineau. It's going to lead. That's actually going to be a non-shooting foul for Samford. Menendez receives the inbounds pass, gets it over to Alex Abraham, to Campbell. Catamounts working the outside. Allie Lane with the ball. Gets it to Menendez, looking to drive, almost lost her balance. Pull up. Can't make the shot. Terry fighting for the rebound, gets a jump ball, and that's Catamounts basketball.
And that's the hustle play we see from Shauna Terry. First of all, Kayla Shea Menendez does a good job creating her own shot. Didn't get it to fall, but if Samford doesn't amp up the defensive pressure, it will fall. And then it's Terry earning an extra possession on the offensive glass. So exactly what we're talking about, 50-50 balls. Catamounts are getting there a step or so quicker than the Samford Bulldogs so far in this one. We see it again right there. How about the play from Shauna Terry? And it's hustle. It's the little things that lead to the big things. The little things lead to cutting a 9-point deficit to 2. Those are the types of plays that do that, Ryan Keys.
Third time today that we've seen this team knock one off of a Samford player. Second time from Shauna Terry, and that time she gave up her body completely to make that play.
It's unselfish basketball right now for the Catamounts. It's not about who scores, it's about can we score. Campbell with a little nylon from downtown. The Catamounts have the lead for the first time, Ryan, in the ball game. First Catamount lead tonight, and it couldn't have come in a bigger way.
First time in the game, and this isn't a huge crowd, but there was a little mini eruption there as Campbell nailed the shot, bringing the Catamounts up by 1 for the first time, and right now the bench feels it. There's a certain momentum on the hardwood, and the fans, the Cat House Band, everybody's starting to feel the snowball effect here right now.
Menendez fouled, but take a second and look at Karen Middleton. She had that grit in her teeth after that defensive stand, and she's not playing anymore, but by looking at her facial expressions, you would never know it. She is just as much into this game as the 10 players on the floor, and when you have a coach who is that big of a competitor, it makes it that much easier to get the job done as a player when you know your coach has just as much fire as you do.
Samford draws the charge against Menendez. Would have been a good setup to Campbell, who was wide open.
And Samford better write that one down and get that coverage figured out, because if they don't, the Catamounts will go back to it. And Campbell wide open is almost as lethal as leaving Keaton Cole wide open for the men's side. And Menendez, the hustle play, the rebound, the foul. That's the 5th team foul so far for Samford. And earning opportunities is what the Catamounts are doing right now with the hustle plays. And they've also earned the lead.
Menendez draws the foul there, kind of came up a little limp, and we see Wakama go over, ready for a substitution. I'd imagine that Karen Middleton probably noticed. Menendez trying to play through it, though. And you mentioned Coach Middleton, and having interviewed her before, I mean, you'd never know it by her voice because she's very calm, very collected, but you can see it in her eyes. You can see the fire.
And another example, Ryan. Defense has to come to help. She could have shot the long-range jumper. No, we'll get it to Shauna Terry. Perfect drop step. And that's what people don't understand about playing in the low block. You can make the drop step before you even catch the basketball, and it sets you up for an easy opportunity like that. A perfect executed play, and Shauna Terry's at the line.
Terry can't make her first. Wakama coming in for Menendez now.
And if there's one area where Shauna Terry's been trying to work her game, it is right here. A 44% free throw shooter, and as big and as strong and as powerful as she is, you know, with her work ethic, she'll have a much, much higher percentage next year. She's too good of a player to be held down for that long.
Can't make her second. Alex Abraham with the rebound, and we've got a lane violation there on Samford. So Terry will have one more shot at it here.
Yeah, Ryan, Ketchum just entered the lane a little early before even Terry put up the shot.
Makes her third and puts WCU up by 2.
And that's a big one. If nothing else, it's a confidence booster for her. If she is sent back there again, and the way she's playing, it would be no surprise. And look at this, on the defensive end, she makes a play.
Very athletic play there by Terry, and Wakama with that speed just right there with the ball.
And it's fronting the low post. The post player set up for Samford. Terry read it like a book, jumped the passing lane, and got the deflection. And Wakama, as you said, right there with her speed to take advantage.
Wakama with the ball now, played aggressively by Powers, and this time Powers gets her hand caught in the cookie jar right there. They're going to call a reach in on her.
And it's one that the Samford head coach is not going to be very pleased with. Shot clock was down to 7. And Rena Wakama was 3-4 feet behind the three-point line waiting on a Terry screen, and you give her a 1-and-1 at the free throw line. It's a bailout foul, and those are the ones, we talked about it earlier, that's the type of foul that will drive a coach absolutely crazy.
And the Catamounts in the bonus right now because Samford has 7 fouls. The Catamounts only have 2, and that's a good way to let them pull away with the game, really.
And it's because the Catamounts are being the aggressor. They're not sitting around waiting for the action to happen. They're creating the action. Samford's been a little slow to react comparatively to the first half, and that's why they're getting out of position, and the Catamounts are drawing the contact.
Catamounts with their biggest lead of the night at 4, building it from the charity stripe. Powers looking to get something going, sends it to Ketchum. Right back to Powers. She sends up a prayer that was not answered, but it goes off of Abraham, and it is Samford ball with 2 seconds left on the shot clock.
And if you're Samford, again, it makes no sense to me, Ryan. Get Anderson the ball. Paige Anderson, yeah, she's 2 for 6 today. She has 8 points. She's done work at the free throw line. She's hit 2 from downtown. She's your scorer. And there, you see the frustration on the bench. You get the ball out of bounds, time to regroup. First thing a player should do, look at the shot clock. They don't. Catamounts get a free possession on a turnover.
The coach right there, furious as you get a chance to set up there. You've got to know how much time is left on the shot clock, and when there's only 2 seconds left, you don't have time to be dribbling.
And head coach Mike Morris, he knows that. He's a competitor. He knows what it takes to win, hence why Samford is as good as they've been this year. And he probably knows just as well as the Catamounts do that the Catamounts are out hustling his ball club right now.
Pretty well defended there by Reese as Abraham put up a shot, tried to send a one-handed pass to Terry. Reese picked it off. They're going to have free throws. But we have, excuse me, Kyle. Go ahead.
And Hannah Dawson, that's how you have to do it. You can't be consistent in the way you drive to the basket when you have a player, a shot blocker like Terry on your back. That time she went with a quick drop step and was able to draw contact.
Samford with free throws when we come back to TV 62's coverage of Catamounts women's basketball. We are back here on TV 62, and the Catamounts right now trying to defend a 4-point lead, trying to grow it, in fact, but you're not going to do that by sending players like Hannah Dawson to the free throw line.
Well, and you got to give Dawson credit. An efficient Samford possession. They got on the low block, looked for a high percentage shot. She took it to Terry, used her speed and quickness, and she was sneaky in how she was able to create a shot opportunity. But you're right, Hannah Dawson, 83% from the line, but the announcer's curse might have gotten her there, and she missed the second.
And for Samford right now, not a lot of things going right here in the second half whatsoever. They went into halftime with 26 points. They've only put up 10 in the second half. Catamounts, on the other hand, have put up 22.
And not being strong with the basketball is going to cost Samford a possession. They had the ball. They weren't strong with it, lost the handle. Catamounts will get the possession, 8 on the shot clock.
Allie Lane looking to throw in, does to Menendez. Tries to drive, gets all the way to the hoop, and it'll roll in for her.
And when you need a bucket, that's Kayla Shea being Kayla Shea. When you're an 1,000-point scorer, you get the ball with 7 on the shot clock. She knew it. She knew she had to create a shot opportunity, wasted no time, took it right to the rack.
Good play there by Ketchum to take it to Menendez and force a foul, but if you're a defense, how do you cover Menendez? Because she can drive and pull up, she can drive all the way, she can pass. What do you do?
I mean, it's a loaded question, really, Ryan, and you have to play smart. If you're in a man-to-man defense, you have to realize her dribble penetration ability, and you even have to tell your bigs before the game, hey, this player likes to drive, you're going to have to be ready to help. And the help has to get there early, because if it's not there early, it's going to cost you. But at the same time, when you go to help, you got to make sure you cover up the big, because Menendez is just as good of a passer as she is scorer. And I think you have to make her a jump shooter, Ryan. I really do. She is too lethal with dribble penetration. She can do too many things. I think you have to take your chance with her shooting a mid-range to long-range jump shot.
Sort of in the same way that you would guard Trey Sumler.
And exactly, but when you make her settle for the step back jump shot. You got to be able to cover up the defensive rebound. They don't. McKinney at the line. And it's little things. In a zone, the reason Menendez is so valuable is because of her dribble penetration. The two ways you beat a 2-3 zone, ball movement, inserting it into the middle via the pass or dribble penetration or shooting over top of it. That's how Kayla Shea breaks down a 2-3. She breaks the first two. And if you're the top two in a 2-3 zone playing defense on her, you have to pack the middle because she will split it in a heartbeat. And once she split the zone is beat if you execute it properly on the offensive end.
McKinney makes her second free throw. And Kyle, we mentioned in pregame how good this Catamounts defense is. Second in the SoCon with 57 points a game, basically. Have held a very good Samford team to 38 here with just 6 minutes to go.
Abraham that time making the defensive play. It was a pick and roll for Samford. She read it. Even though she wasn't looking at the ball, keep your hands up. You never know when you're going to be able to get the deflection. She does there. And this is what we're talking about, Ryan. That last possession, it's the Catamount bench starting the defense chant. Sure, the band and everyone else here carried on. But when you have a team that has that energy and fire to start that, it translates to the play on the floor, and it translates to a 42-38 lead.
Anderson checking to make sure that she didn't lose a tooth on that play as she took a bit of an elbow to the face from Menendez. Don't think it was intentional, but a foul nonetheless, and it's Samford's ball once again. Dawson sends it to Reese. Tried to send it to Anderson.
Again, Abraham and Honeycutt, they both that time recognized the passing lane, recognized what Samford's trying to do. They didn't get the turnover this time, but they disrupted the play and took away an easy Samford basket.
And you can tell Abraham's fired up when she's down there being a vocal leader as well. She's chit-chatting a little bit with her teammates here, ready to go and ready to close out this game with less than 5:30 left here.
Abraham, she's found it. Ryan, a player with so much potential. We talked about it even from the beginning of the year. How she has evolved into her game, only 1 second on the shot clock, is unbelievable.
And Anderson threw up a shot, just a little Hail Mary there.
But
prayers were not answered.
Excuse me, Ryan, but if you're Samford, that's where the ball had to go. You have to get it to your scorer in that situation, and really a good job getting her as good of a look as they did.
And that's just good defense by the Catamounts. If you hold a team down to 1 second left in the shot clock, they're most likely not going to generate a good shot.
Nice backdoor. It's a carbon copy, Ryan. It really is. Terry and Menendez basically ran the same thing that Henderson and the Samford Bigs have been trying to run on this end. It's a simple pick and roll to the basket. When executed properly, the best play in basketball, they isolated that side of the floor for Terry and Menendez. And Samford, unlike Western Carolina, they didn't read the passing lane, and Terry made them pay.
Terry makes her first, and she had a nice little grin on her face after that foul. And if you're Samford, at some point you got to realize that Menendez has really become more of an assist player today.
And she has, but it shouldn't surprise anybody. Yes, she had 17 last time these two teams played. A big 2 free throws from Terry. But Menendez, that's just what she does. She makes her teammates better. She's done that again tonight. And she comes out of the ball game. It'll be interesting to see how Honeycutt, Terry, and Abraham can step up for this Catamount team offensively with Menendez on the bench, getting a breather before the final stretch. 4.5 to go. Catamounts lead by 6.
It's been a struggle for Anderson as she throws up another shot that won't go home. And sometimes I guess you just don't get the ball in your hands enough, and it's hard to develop that rhythm. As Shauna Terry, she's in a rhythm, comes up with the big offensive boards, and she's going to have more shots from the charity stripe.
And it's reading the play. Abraham did it. She's on the bench. Terry came in, picks up right where they left off. Terry was out at the high post area, the elbow by the free throw line. Saw the shot, slashed to the basket. Rebound fell in her lap. She took it up strong, and now she has 2 free throws.
And something that we didn't necessarily allude to in pregame, when I was interviewing Coach Middleton at the men's game the other night, I asked her about tournament time, and she said her team's ready. We didn't necessarily see that against Chattanooga, but tonight in a game against a very good Samford team, I mean, you look at the record, this team has just been on fire all year long. The Catamounts are making a statement.
They are, Ryan, and records mean nothing. Once you're in postseason play, you're as good as anybody. Wakama, a little nylon from deep range. And a timeout for Samford. This team is fired up. The way the Catamounts are playing right now, if they can do this from here to the end of the year, they are going to be very tough to beat, not just by Samford, but by anybody in the SoCon.
Big shot from Wakama there. Brought the team off the bench and to their feet. Got a timeout from Samford. Maybe a little late now that he's down by 10. Biggest margin of the game in favor of the Catamounts. And Kyle, I mean, this team, they're in a zone right now. I mean, the focus has been there ever since halftime. Again, I don't know what Karen Middleton said or what's in the Gatorade bottles today, but something's working right for the Catamounts.
The energy level picked up. We mentioned it all throughout the half, and they haven't let back. They've been the aggressor all half long. And when they're efficient like this, they're not shooting the ball that great, Ryan. They're 50% from the floor in the second half. Samford 3 of 12 shooting at the 7:27 mark. We'll have to see the latest numbers when they come in. But the Catamounts, the biggest key for them the last 3:56, they got to continue to be the aggressor. They can't say, okay, we have a 10-point lead, let's sit back. Samford, much too good of a shooting team to sit back. You got to keep aggressive if you're the Catamounts. That's huge in the last 3:56.
The energy has been there, a little cup of caffeine for the girls at halftime, it looks like. And it has lasted.
And they're also playing together, Ryan. They're recognizing passing lanes. They're communicating well. And it's just smooth and pretty to watch. And talk about pretty to watch. That's how Samford gets back into this ball game. Anderson is that type of player. Comes off a screen, buries a shot when her team seems to be reeling.
3:30 left. Anderson hits the three to bring him back within 7, and this game is not over yet. But, I mean, you mentioned the communication, you mentioned the teamwork, and right there we saw it even on that defensive possession as Honeycutt pushing Terry from behind, saying, hey, get up there, that's where you're supposed to be defensively. And we've seen it all night. Lots of talk and lots of nonverbal communication as well.
You're right, and on that play right there, it's a ball screen. Samford knew they were late in reacting to it, and Campbell picks up the foul, sending the Catamounts Campbell to the free throw line where she is lethal.
We're going to take our last break of the game here. Catamounts up by 7, 48-41 against the Samford Bulldogs. Stay tuned to TV62's stream of Catamounts basketball. We are back here at the Ramsey Center, and 3:21 left. The Catamounts up 48-41. Mackenzie Campbell, an excellent outside shooter, now at the free throw line for the Catamounts, looking to extend the lead to 9 here.
Pretty good free throw shooter too, Ryan. That one doesn't go, but on the year, 89% from the free throw line. Doesn't hit there.
Not really surprising when you consider how good of a shooter she is, as the bench using the magic hands, and they work that time. Ball goes in with a swish. Menendez checks in for Campbell for this final stretch. Catamounts up by 8.
And this is where a young team has to come together. They have to learn how to do it consistently, close out a basketball game. Pick and roll executed that time for Samford, unable to finish.
And McKinney going to be called out of bounds there. Samford's coach very happy about that, as he was pointing right to it. And the ref saw it as well. Powers now setting up the Samford offense. Going to send it to Reese. Gets it to Anderson. Honeycutt all over Anderson, who gets it out. to Dawson. Couldn't make the shot, but Reese with another offensive board.
And out of this timeout, Ryan, we're seeing Samford respond like a winning team does. They have now been the aggressor. They're being a lot more aggressive, a lot less lackadaisical than they've been all half, creating opportunities for themselves, and it results in 2 points.
A lot more focused ball movement as well, Kyle. And right there, Reese set up down low after a series of touch passes.
And if you're Western Carolina right here, you got to be efficient. Don't show some chinks in the armor, so to speak. You got to keep being efficient, keep working the ball, do what you did to get to this lead, and just as I say at Honeycutt, a strong take to the basket, earning a trip to the free throw line.
Honeycutt very efficient on both sides of the ball today, and right there takes it right to Reese. And we'll look to convert on 2 from the line, bring this lead right back to 8.
A 55% free throw shooter, Ryan. 2 big shots for her.
First one won't quite go. The iron unkind. She will make the second. Catamounts up by 7 with 1:54 left, and those free throws with the Catamounts in the double bonus now will become increasingly important as this game goes on.
Catamounts still have a foul to give defensively, only 5 team fouls so far in this half.
Reese turns around, gets it over to Dawson, who gets it to Anderson, and
on the inside there that time, Ryan, Reese Taylor, a freshman. She's been a big part of this basketball game, rebounding the basketball. She's been held in check, usually a vital part of their offense. That time she's trying to gain position down low. She used that offhand to hook the defender, and once you do that, as long as if the ref sees it, it'll draw a whistle every single time.
And the coach may be using this as a teaching moment, maybe just deciding that there's a better matchup, but Taylor Reese going to take a seat with less than 1:30 left. Kind of hard to think that she would be back in this game.
Well, she's a 6'3", big player for the Samford Bulldogs. She's a freshman, averaging 9 a game. Tonight, it's tough. When Abraham and Terry are your defenders, it's tough going down there on the low block. She's discovered that, only 2 of 12 for Reese. Shooting the basketball, 2 rebounds for a total of 4 points.
Down to less than a minute left. Catamounts bench on their feet. Cheering on the team here. Up by 7, Anderson a 3, and that one falls short of the rim. And the Cat House Band kind of letting her hear it.
The shot was altered. It wasn't altered, but she wasn't able to step into her shot, was Anderson. When Anderson steps into her shot, she's just as good of a shooter as anybody in this league. But that time, Honeycutt was able to rotate, stay with her, get a hand up, and she wasn't able to step into it, and it makes shooting the basketball a lot tougher. And if the Catamounts can hit free throws, they should be able to close this one out, Ryan.
And we've mentioned Anderson's struggles a couple times during this broadcast, but what we haven't really focused in on is how good of a job Diamond Honeycutt has done of guarding her in her face the entire game, and it has paid off big for the Catamounts.
Honeycutt has been on her. Wakama has been on her. It's a team effort. Honeycutt has certainly been there. She was on that last possession, but we say she's struggling, Ryan. She has 11 points tonight, and comparatively, she's not even shooting that bad from the floor. 3 of 9, certainly not her normal percentage numbers. 3 of 7 from downtown, perfect at the free throw line. She's only 2 shy of her average, but the Catamounts have, you're right, they've known where she is at all times. They don't let her sneak through a ball screen and get an open look. The 3 times they have, she's put points up on the board.
Well, the team motto defensively tonight has been white on rice. Get as close to him as you can, and for Anderson, maybe not a bad night, but, I mean, we mentioned it earlier in the game in the first half. You definitely noticed it, not getting the ball a lot.
That's right. And when you have a scorer and she's not in rhythm, it makes life so hard when you have a defense swarming to the ball and a scorer can't get in rhythm. when a scorer is a scorer and they can get in a rhythm, we've seen it tonight from multiple players for the Catamounts. Interesting, no player in double figures for the Catamounts, but we've seen Abraham be in a rhythm. We've seen Terry be in a rhythm. And when they're in that rhythm, you can feed them the ball and rely on possessions.
Anderson from probably at least 5 feet out of the arc hits the rim, but nothing more. But Powers comes up with a couple rebounds and ends up drawing the foul off of Alex Abraham.
And interesting there, it appeared, and Honeycutt realized it too, that one of the Samford bigs actually fouled her own player, but it drew the ire of the ref. But it's no secret what Samford's trying to do to get back in this ball game. And Anderson, they know that she's the leader of this team. She's the scorer of this team. And she had 3 Catamounts on her at one point in that possession and still got, even as far out as she was, it was still a pretty good look.
Honeycutt finally comes up with a rebound for the Catamounts. And at this point, Samford's got a foul, do they not?
They do, unless they're holding it to the end. And I think that's what they're doing. I think they're letting it bleed out.
Down by 8 at this point. Yeah, you go ahead, and that is the game. Catamounts with a huge victory here today, beating the 16-9 Samford Bulldogs and kind of reversing their fortunes from just a couple nights ago against Chattanooga. They lost that game 54-40. This time, close to the same score, just a reversal. 52 Catamounts, 44 Samford Bulldogs.
7 straight, Ryan. This defense has held them under 60. In fact, Samford couldn't even get to 50 tonight. And as good of an offensive team as this is, that is very impressive for this defense. This defense is rolling. The team is rolling. They're together. This is the type of win, Ryan, that describes this Catamount team. Resiliency. Karen Middleton has spoken with us on Power 90. She talked with us about it. She's talked about it in interviews. This team is resilient, they're gritty, and they find a way to win. They do it again tonight in impressive fashion against the Samford Bulldogs.
The last time this team gave up over 60 points was January 7th against UNCG, where they gave up 62.
Defense is what is going to carry this team, Ryan. They don't always shoot the ball lights out, but they make up for it by getting opportunities through their defense. We saw that pick up in the second half. The defensive intensity picked up, and as soon as that happened, the rim became very kind for the Catamounts.
The defensive intensity picked up, the offensive rebounds picked up, and I think what we saw tonight that we haven't always seen from this team, yeah, they always have the heart, they always have the energy, but patience offensively.
Patience, efficiency, work the ball around, not finding the first shot, finding the best shot. That's what the Catamounts did really well here tonight.
Catamounts have won 5 of their last 6. We alluded to Coach Middleton's statement that they are ready for the tournament. They proved it tonight. They have 2 more games, one against Georgia Southern on February 25th at 4:30, one at Elon on February 27th, and that will end up their season. We will remind you to tune in tomorrow, or rather come to the Ramsey Center tomorrow for intramural basketball championship night. Games start at 6 o'clock with the Co-Rec League, and all the way with the Men's A League at 9 o'clock. Should be a great night here in Cullowhee. Until then, for Kyle Rush, this has been Ryan Keys with TV 62's coverage of Catamounts women's basketball. We'll catch you next time.